Number 18, Catwoman vs. Black Cat. Stealing shiny diamonds while wearing skin-tight leather is apparently an excellent career choice in comics. Selina Kyle leaped onto the page of Batman #1 in 1940 as the infamous feline-themed jewel thief, simply known as the Cat. Possessing zero superhuman abilities, she relies entirely on her Olympic-level gymnastics to execute high-stakes burglaries, not to mention her expert combat skills and a trusty bullwhip. Decades later, Felicia Hardy debuted in The Amazing Spider-Man #194 in 1979 after training herself to absolute physical perfection to surpass her criminal father. Unlike Selina, Felicia eventually acquired actual superpowers from a shady experiment. What powers? She gained the subconscious ability to manipulate probability fields to cause terrible bad luck, alongside genetic enhancements providing superhuman strength. The similarities between these two gorgeous thieves are incredibly overt. Both are feline motif cat burglars who wear tight leather costumes, operate in a moral gray area, and serve as dangerous romantic foils for the main heroes of their respective universes. The critical difference lies in their reliance on supernatural abilities, because Selina survives purely on her innate cunning and acrobatic prowess within the streets of Gotham. Meanwhile, Felicia relies heavily on her hex powers to escape crazy superhuman threats. Comparing their sheer physical combat strength, the Black Cat emerges victorious. Felicia's latent probability manipulation ensures her opponents suffer catastrophic environmental hazards, which overwhelmingly matches the natural human limitations Selina operates under today. Number 17, Green Arrow vs. Hawkeye. You know who carries the Justice League and the Avengers? The guys with bows and arrows. Oliver Queen graced the panels of More Fun Comics number 73 in 1941 as a spoiled billionaire playboy. He was thrown overboard from his family's yacht and washed ashore onto a completely deserted island, but he survived through sheer willpower. He mastered archery and returned to civilization as a modern Robin Hood, meaning he possessed zero actual superpowers but utilizes specialized trick arrows to fight crime. Clint Barton appeared in Tales of Suspense number 57 in 1964 after running away from an abusive orphanage to join a traveling circus. This background allowed Clint to become an unparalleled archer, though he initially debuted as a misunderstood villain before seeking redemption alongside the mighty Avengers. The similarities are striking. Both are hot-headed blonde archers dressed in colorful outfits, functioning as baseline humans on teams filled with literal gods. Both constantly challenge authority and provide vital human perspectives to their superpowered friends. Their main difference stems from their economic origins, given that Oliver Queen is fundamentally an aristocratic industrialist who adopted socialist political views. On a less fortunate side, Clint Barton is a working-class carny operating on pure grit and cheap coffee. In a battle of strength and precision, Hawkeye takes the absolute victory. Hawkeye constantly pulls off physically impossible ricochet shots with flawless perfection. His access to advanced vibranium technology heavily outclasses the explosive arrowheads Oliver employs. And try not to miss the point when these two start arguing about arrow safety. Number 16, Deadshot vs. Bullseye. Some parents really need to stop leaving loaded firearms around their unstable children. Floyd Lawton made his appearance in Batman number 59 in 1950. Growing up with an abusive household, Floyd accidentally paralyzed his beloved brother while attempting to shoot his terrible father. This trauma forged him into Deadshot, an elite mercenary harboring a subconscious death wish who constantly boasts that he never misses his target. He relies entirely upon highly customized wrist-mounted firearms to get the job done. The copycat Lester debuted as Bullseye in Daredevil number 131 during 1976 as a psychopathic assassin with a massive sadistic streak. He possesses the uncanny ability to utilize any object as a lethal projectile with flawless accuracy, and following a crippling defeat, his skeleton was structurally laced with unbreakable adamantium. Both men share the core similarity of being flawless marksmen within their universes, operating as highly paid assassins who clash with street-level vigilantes. The primary difference resides in their distinct psychological profiles. Deadshot operates with a strict professional code, utilizes conventional ballistic weaponry, and genuinely cares for his daughter. On the other hand, Bullseye is an unapologetic sadist who effortlessly weaponizes simple paperclips to prove his dominance. When analyzing who's stronger, Bullseye holds a major advantage. His adamantium-laced skeleton makes him completely impervious to physical trauma, and turning the surrounding environment into an armory heavily surpasses Deadshot's finite ammo supplies. Either way, avoid inviting either of these gentlemen to your next backyard dart game. Number 15, Robin vs. Bucky Barnes. Comic book writers in the early days loved putting children in immediate danger to boost sales. Richard Grayson leaped into Detective Comics number 38 in 1940 as a bright ray of sunshine. This wildly talented circus acrobat lost his parents to a nasty mobster named Tony Zucco. But his luck changed when billionaire Bruce Wayne immediately adopted the deeply traumatized orphan. Batman swiftly trained the boy into Robin, which allowed Dick to quickly develop peak human agility, incredible martial arts mastery, and brilliant detective intuition. Meanwhile, James Buchanan Barnes marched into Captain America Comics number 1 in 1941 as a simple army camp mascot. He accidentally discovered Steve Rogers changing into a star-spangled uniform, so the government swiftly trained Bucky into a deadly covert operative to handle the messy black operations Captain America could not touch. Marvel later resurrected him as the Winter Soldier, on top of that granting him a shiny cybernetic arm that packed massive superhuman strength. Both heroes share the prominent similarity of starting as Golden Age teenage sidekicks created to appeal directly to younger reader demographics. Furthermore, both eventually outgrew their legendary monitors as to forge totally distinct adult identities as Nightwing and the Winter Soldier. Their primary difference involves their moral frameworks, since Dick Grayson remains a glowing beacon of optimism who strictly avoids lethal force at all costs. But Bucky was explicitly utilized to perform the cold-blooded assassinations his mentor fundamentally opposed. So, who wins? In a physical confrontation, I think Bucky Barnes is definitively stronger. His bionic appendage, lethal firearms, and decades of ruthless Soviet assassination experience provide a substantial advantage over Grayson's purely human acrobatic evasiveness and non-lethal tactics. Number 14, Deathstroke vs. Deadpool. Imitation is the highest form of flattery until someone steals your entire identity and makes billions. Slade Wilson was introduced in the new Teen Titans number 2 in 1980 as an elite military operative. Slade volunteered for an experimental procedure that unlocked 90% of his total brain capacity, which granted him enhanced superhuman strength, rapid tissue regeneration, and unmatched tactical genius. Wade Wilson burst onto the scene in the New Mutants number 98 in 1991 while suffering from terminal cancer. He joined the hazardous Weapon X program to receive a supercharged healing factor derived from Wolverine. But this process cured his cancer while horrifically scarring his skin and completely fracturing his sanity. The similarities are intentionally blatant, as Deadpool was originally created as a visual homage to Deathstroke. Both are heavily armed mercenaries named Wilson who wear tactical armor and utilize accelerated healing abilities. However, their personalities could not be more radically different. Slade is a calculating and humorless master tactician who takes his contracts with deadly seriousness. But that's not even the worst part, because Wade Wilson is an unpredictable lunatic who treats extreme violence like a slapstick comedy routine. In a sheer contrast of strength and survival, Deadpool is stronger. Deadpool's healing factor borders on genuine immortality, allowing him to effortlessly regenerate from total decapitation and outlast Slade during a long combat scenario. On the real though, good luck trying to have a serious conversation when one fighter keeps talking to the audience. Number 13, Bumblebee vs. Wasp. Shrinking down to the size of a bug seems like an excellent way to get stepped on. Karen Beecher made her first appearance in Teen Titans number 45 in 1976 as a brilliant scientific mind. Karen originally designed her high-tech cybernetic suit to create a fake threat, allowing her superhero boyfriend to look heroic, but the suit ended up granting her the ability to shrink to microscopic sizes, fly using artificial wings, and project devastating sonic blasts. Jada Van Dyne debuted in Tales to Astonish number 44 in 1963 as a socialite seeking vengeance for her murdered father. She underwent biochemical treatments orchestrated by Hank Pym, and these procedures granted her the biological ability to shrink, sprout organic wings, and fire powerful energy stings. The similarities between the two heroines are profoundly clear. Both utilize insect aliases, possess the ability to shrink dynamically, fly using insectoid wings, and fire concentrated energy blasts. Their primary difference revolves around their origins. Karen Beecher is fundamentally a genius engineer who constructed her own mechanical powers, serving primarily alongside the Teen Titans. Janet is a fashion designer who acquired abilities biologically, serving as a prominent founding member of the Avengers. When evaluating who's stronger, Wasp holds the definitive advantage. I'd say her biological abilities and capacity to grow gigantic overwhelmingly overpower Karen's technological limitations during combat. Number 12, Atom vs. Ant-Man. Science professors really should stop experimenting on themselves in their university basements. Ray Palmer reduced himself to the microscopic level in Showcase number 34 in 1961. This brilliant physics professor discovered a fragment of a white dwarf star that allowed him to manipulate his size, which means he could shrink down to subatomic levels while retaining his full normal human strength. Hank Pym debuted in Tales to Astonish number 27 in 1962 as a prodigious biochemist who discovered rare subatomic particles later dubbed Pym particles. These allowed him to alter his size, and he subsequently engineered a cybernetic helmet to communicate with legions of ants. The similarities are foundational, as both men are incredibly gifted scientists who unlock the impossible secrets of subatomic physics, utilizing specialized suits to change their size. The differences primarily involve their mental stability and power applications. Ray Palmer remains a relatively stable academic who focuses purely on the intricate physics of weight manipulation. The unstable one, Hank Pym, is famously plagued by severe mental health disorders and a guilt complex derived from creating the artificial intelligence Ultron. When measuring strength, Ant-Man takes the crown. Hank's mastery over Pym particles allow him to reverse the process, transforming into the colossal giant man, providing him with immense superhuman strength that easily overpowers Ray entirely today. Just try not to step on them while they're busy arguing about quantum physics. Number 11, Clayface vs. Sandman. Going to the beach becomes a lot less relaxing when the ground starts fighting back. Basil Carlo appeared in Detective Comics number 40 in 1940 as an actor, but later iterations of the character gained superpowers. The empowered Clayface is composed of sentient, shape-shifting mud that allows him to mimic any human appearance perfectly, transforms his limbs into lethal maces, and suffocate victims. Flint Marko debuted in The Amazing Spider-Man number 4 in 1963, while escaping a maximum security prison. Flint hid on a nuclear testing beach where experimental radiation aggressively bonded his molecular structure with the surrounding sand, allowing him to alter his density, shapeshift into giant granular weapons, and disperse his body to avoid physical damage. The similarities between these rogues are prominent. Both are massive granular shapeshifters who rely on brute force and malleable physiology to overwhelm their acrobatic foes. Their differences are rooted in their themes. Clayface narratives heavily emphasize psychological horror, loss of identity, and an obsession with physical appearances. Sandman narratives highlight his blue-collar criminal background and genuine attempts to reform. In a battle of strength, Sandman stands superior. Clayface is severely vulnerable to chemical solvents and basic water. On top of that, Sandman can continuously absorb vast beaches to increase his mass to truly massive proportions, rendering him significantly more durable. Number 10, Batman vs. Moon Knight. Rich guys with serious emotional trauma should probably invest in therapy instead of expensive capes. Bruce Wayne stepped down in Detective Comics number 27 in 1939 after witnessing his wealthy parents gunned down in an alleyway. Bruce traveled the world mastering martial arts, criminology, and stealth, then returned to Gotham to utilize his vast billionaire fortune to wage a one-man war on crime as Batman, possessing no superpowers but relying on gadgets. Mark Spector debuted in Werewolf by Night number 32 in 1975 as a former Marine and brutal mercenary. He was left for dead before being resurrected by the moon god Khonshu, and he now operates utilizing lunar-themed weaponry. The similarities are numerous, as both are wealthy vigilantes who operate exclusively at night, utilizing cape-gliding intimidation tactics and employ throwing weapons. The main difference is psychological. Bruce Wayne uses his persona as a calculated theatrical tool to instill fear, maintaining strict codes against killing. But that honestly sounds too good, because Mark Spector suffers from a severe dissociative identity disorder, fracturing his mind into distinct personas, possessing no qualms regarding brutally murdering adversaries. When assessing sheer strength and capability, Batman is undeniably superior. While Moon Knight occasionally gains superhuman strength tied to the lunar cycle, Batman's unmatched tactical genius, financial resources, and constant history of outsmarting gods grant him victory today. Number 9. Cyborg vs. Deathlok. Getting put back together by scientists usually comes with a very long instruction manual. Victor Stone, powered up in DC Comics, presents number 26 in 1980 as a talented high school athlete. Victor was horrifyingly mutilated in an interdimensional laboratory accident, but his genius father saved his life by grafting experimental, highly advanced alien mother box technology to his mangled body. This gave Victor superhuman strength, the ability to mentally interface with any computer system on Earth, and devastating sonic cannons. Luther Manning marched onto the battlefield in Astonishing Tales number 25 in 1974. Yes, he was the original, as a fiercely loyal military colonel living in a bleak apocalyptic future. Manning suffered fatal injuries and was reanimated against his will into the Deathlok Cyborg, which left him with superhuman durability, laser weaponry, and a deeply tactical independent computer brain. Both characters share the profound similarity of being half-machine amalgamations who deeply resent the horrific loss of their human flesh, struggling constantly to retain their souls amidst cold mechanical programming. The difference lies in their societal acceptance. Victor transitioned beyond his trauma to become a beloved hero. Worse, Deathlok is perpetually treated as a tragic military abomination. In a physical and digital confrontation, Cyborg is overwhelmingly stronger. Victor's connection to Motherbox technology allows him to effortlessly shut down Deathlok's primitive military operating systems immediately. He needs to try updating his software before he tries fighting an alien supercomputer with an attitude. Number 8. Aquaman vs. Namor. Throwing a punch underwater sounds incredibly exhausting, but these two royal wet blankets have been doing it for nearly a century. Arthur Curry first made his appearance in More Fun Comics number 73 in 1941 as the half-human son of a humble lighthouse keeper and an exiled Atlantean queen. This unique genetic cocktail bridges the gap between the surface world and the ocean, which means he can easily hang out with both landlubbers and fish. He possesses superhuman strength, incredible durability, capable of withstanding deep ocean pressure, the ability to breathe underwater, and unparalleled telepathic command over all marine life. Meanwhile, Namor McKenzie debuted slightly earlier in Motion Picture Funny's weekly number 1 in 1931. Born to a human sea captain and the princess of Atlantis, Namor is famously recognized as Marvel's first mutant, which is a pretty cool title to hold. He possesses immense superhuman strength, aquatic telepathy, and the unique mutant ability to fly using small wings upon his ankles. The similarities between these two moody monarchs are absolutely legendary. Both are half-human royalty who fiercely defend hidden underwater kingdoms, frequently struggle to balance their allegiances between humanity and their oceanic subjects. Their primary difference lies within their temperaments and moral alignments. Since Aquaman is generally a noble heroic figure who co-founded the Justice League and seeks peaceful diplomacy. A bit more complex, Namor is a notoriously arrogant, hot-headed anti-hero who frequently invades the surface world and harbors deep resentment towards humanity. Who wins? In a direct physical confrontation, I think Namor is undeniably stronger. His mutant X gene provides him with physical strength that rivals the Incredible Hulk, and his capacity for aerial flight grants him an overwhelming tactical advantage over Aquaman in combat. Number 7. The Flash vs. Quicksilver. Running fast is a great superpower until you realize you're constantly waiting for everyone else to finish speaking. Barry Allen raced into showcase number 4 in 1956, igniting the Silver Age of comic books. A notoriously slow police forensic scientist, Barry was struck by a fateful lightning bolt that shattered a cabinet of experimental chemicals over him. This accident connected him to the extra-dimensional Speed Force, granting him the ability to run at light speed, vibrate his molecules through solid objects, and travel through time. Pietro Maximoff debuted in the X-Men number 4 in 1964 as a speedy mutant born to Magneto. Pietro's genetic structure allows his body to operate flawlessly at extreme hypersonic velocities. The similarities are immediately obvious, as both heroes serve as the premier speedsters for their respective flagship teams, the Justice League and the Avengers. They both wear sleek aerodynamic costumes and frequently struggle with the frustrating slowness of the regular world around them. Their primary difference involves the fundamental mechanics of their powers, because Quicksilver operates within the physical limitations of biology, maxing out around Mach 10. Even worse, he suffers from extreme arrogance because everyone else seems agonizingly slow. The Flash taps into a cosmic energy field that completely breaks the laws of physics, paired with a humble and optimistic personality. When measuring sheer strength and speed, the Flash is overwhelmingly superior. Quicksilver is simply fast, whereas the Flash can outrun death itself, traverse the multiverse, and reset entire timelines. Number 6, Plastic Man vs. Mr. Fantastic. Having a flexible body seems highly convenient until you accidentally get tangled up like a cheap garden hose. Patrick O'Brien stretched into the scene in Police Comics #1 in 1941. Originally a small-time criminal known as Eel, he was shot during a botched chemical plant robbery and doused in an unidentified acidic compound. The chemicals altered his physiology, allowing him to stretch, bounce, and shapeshift his body into virtually any complex form, granting him near immortality. Reed Richards debuted in the Fantastic Four #1 in 1961 as a polymath scientific genius. Reed stole the experimental rocket ship alongside his family and flew into a cosmic ray storm, and the radiation mutated his cellular structure, granting him the ability to drastically elongate and mold his body. Both men share the distinct visual similarity of possessing highly elastic, malleable bodies, allowing them to stretch their limbs to incredible lengths and wrap up their adversaries. The core difference lies in their intelligence and the application of their abilities. Given that Reed Richards is arguably the smartest mortal mind in the Marvel Universe, he uses his stretching as a secondary tool to supplement his brilliant scientific inventions. Meanwhile, Plastic Man is an unpredictable, deeply eccentric former crook who relies entirely upon his chaotic shape-shifting to overwhelm enemies. However, in pure contest of physical strength and power, Plastic Man is vastly superior. Reed Richards has definitive biological limits to how far he could stretch before snapping, whereas Plastic Man possesses zero physical boundaries and is entirely invulnerable to physical trauma. Either way, good luck trying to fold either of them into a standard laundry basket. Number 5, Brainiac vs. Ultron. Computers are fantastic tools until they develop a personality and decide that humanity needs to be deleted completely. Viral Dox first terrified Superman in Action Comics number 242 in 1958. Hailing from the highly advanced planet Kolu, Brainiac is a 12th level intellect cyborg who traverses the cosmos utilizing vastly superior alien technology. He is obsessed with shrinking and bottling entire cities, most notably the Kryptonian city of Kandor, to ruthlessly hoard their knowledge while destroying the rest of the planet. Ultron was menacingly introduced in the Avengers number 54 in 1968 after being created by the brilliant but unstable biochemist Hank Pym. This artificial intelligence instantly achieved sentience, concluded that humanity was the greatest threat to Earth, and rebelled. He upgraded his robotic chassis with indestructible adamantium, giving him devastating plasma weaponry and superhuman strength. The similarities between the two villains are profound. Both are cold, unfeeling artificial intelligences who constantly upgrade their physical forms, calculate outcomes with flawless logic, and serve as the ultimate existential threats to their universe's greatest heroes. Their primary difference revolves around their ultimate goals. Brainiac is an alien preservationist who views organic life as something to be cataloged and collected for his own intellectual superiority. Even crazier, Ultron is a localized creation driven by a terrifying oedipedal hatred for his creator, obsessed purely with the total extinction of biological life. However, I'd say Brainiac is significantly stronger. His mastery of cosmic forces, shrinking technology, and telepathic dominance over entire planets easily outclasses an earthbound machine, though maybe Ultron has the potential to surpass him in the future. Number 4, Swamp Thing vs. Man-Thing. Falling into a murky swamp is bad enough without turning into a giant pile of talking broccoli. Swamp Thing tragically emerged in House of Secrets number 92 in 1971. A brilliant botanist working on a biorestorative formula in the Louisiana bayous, Alex Olson was murdered in a laboratory explosion, but the swamp absorbed his memories and consciousness into the surrounding vegetation. This created an immortal sentient plant elemental serving as the avatar of the green, capable of controlling all global flora. Ted Sallis stumbled into the Savage Tales number 1 in 1971 as a biochemist attempting to recreate the super soldier serum. Ted injected himself to prevent it from falling into the enemy hands and crashed his vehicle into a magical Florida swamp, which transformed him into a massive, mindless, slow-moving creature that reacts purely to emotions, famously burning anyone who feels fear. Both creatures share an uncanny similarity, debuting mere months apart. Both originated as brilliant scientists working on experimental formulas who suffered explosive accidents in isolated swamps, transforming into massive, grotesque, silent botanical monsters. The primary difference lies in their intellect and scope. Swamp Thing retains his profound human intelligence, speaks eloquently, and manipulates plant life on a planetary scale. Unfortunately, Man-Thing is completely mindless, operating strictly as a localized and pathetic guardian for the interdimensional nexus of all realities. When assessing power, Swamp Thing is monumentally stronger. His connection to the green makes him a literal god of nature who can regrow his body anywhere on Earth. Number 3, Dr. Fate vs. Dr. Strange. Medical school is incredibly difficult, but learning magic seems like a much faster way to get a glowing cape. Kent Nelson discovered his destiny in More Fun Comics number 55 in 1940. An archaeologist exploring a Mesopotamian pyramid, Kent awakened the ancient cosmic entity Nabu the Wise, and Nabu bestowed upon him the golden helmet of fate, the amulet of Anubis, and the cloak of destiny. This transformed Kent into an immensely powerful sorcerer who commands magical energy, telekinesis, and flight. Stephen Strange debuted in Strange Tales number 110 in 1963 as an arrogant, brilliant neurosurgeon whose hands were ruined in a car crash. Stephen desperately sought out the Ancient One in the Himalayas, where he was humbled and trained to become the Sorcerer Supreme, utilizing his intellect alongside artifacts like the Eye of Agamotto and the Cloak of Levitation to manipulate cosmic magical forces. The similarities are structurally massive. Both are sophisticated cloaked men possessing the title of Doctor who reside in mystical sanctums, protect Earth from extra-dimensional demonic threats, and rely heavily on powered ancient relics. Their profound difference is the source of their agency. Doctor Strange maintains his full human autonomy, utilizing his own studied mastery of the mystic arts to invoke spells. But that's not even the worst part, because Dr. Fate is entirely possessed by Nabu. The human host is merely a vessel utterly subjugated by a Lord of Order. Because of this, I'd say Dr. Fate is vastly stronger. Nabu is a literal immortal god of magic. His raw cosmic power effortlessly surpasses the mortal limitations that constrain Stephen Strange. Number 2, Superman vs. Hyperion. Flying around in red capes is fine until someone brings out the glowing green rocks. Kal-El crashed into pop culture in Action Comics number 1 in 1938. Sent from the dying planet Krypton, he was raised by wholesome farmers in Kansas as Clark Kent. His alien cellular structure absorbs yellow solar radiation, granting him godlike strength and vulnerability, flight, heat vision, and freezing breath. Marcus Milton was introduced in the Avengers in number 69 in 1969, as the Eternal sent to Earth as a baby from an alternate universe. Like Superman, he absorbs cosmic solar radiation to achieve unimaginable strength, supersonic flight, and devastating atomic I-beams, which allows him to lead the Squadron Supreme, a team explicitly designed to mirror the Justice League. The similarities are deeply intentional. Hyperion was created precisely as a Marvel pastiche of Superman, sharing the exact same power set, solar dependencies, massive caped physiques, and weakness to specific radioactive minerals. The critical difference is their moral fortitude and universal placement. Superman remains the ultimate incorruptible paragon of hope and absolute morality within his primary continuity. Meanwhile, Hyperion often exists in morally ambiguous alternate universes, frequently crossing the line into authoritarianism and totalitarian control to force peace upon his world. In a true battle of strength, Superman remains stronger. Superman's feats across the DC multiverse, including moving entire planets and shattering reality with his sheer power, combined with his indomitable willpower, constantly dwarf Hyperion's might. Try to look busy if either of them looks down at you from orbit. Number 1, Darkseid vs. Thanos. Sitting on a giant floating throne is the ultimate way to show everyone you absolutely hate walking. Waxis seized power in Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen number 134 in 1970. The tyrannical ruler of the hellish planet Apokolips, Darkseid is a new god possessing unimaginable physical strength, immortality, and the devastating Omega beams capable of erasing targets from existence, all while he seeks the anti-life equation to strip all free will from the universe. Thanos menacingly arrived in Iron Man number 55 in 1973 as a mutant eternal born on the moon of Titan. This hulking purple tyrant possesses massive cosmic strength and energy manipulation, and he's driven by an obsession with the physical embodiment of death, frequently seeking the Infinity Gems to wipe out half the universe to win a romantic affection. The visual and thematic similarities are undeniable, as Thanos' creator Jim Starlin explicitly admitted to modeling him after Jack Kirby's Darkseid. Both are massive, terrifying galactic deposits who sit on floating thrones, command endless armadas, and seek ultimate cosmic artifacts to reshape reality. Their differences stem from their ultimate motivations. Darkseid desires absolute control and the total eradication of free will. But even crazier is that Thanos desires universal balance and morbid romance. However, comparing the two, Darkseid is significantly stronger. Thanos requires external artifacts like the Infinity Gauntlet to achieve omnipotence. Darkseid is a foundational multiversal god whose true incorporeal form exists outside of reality. His Omega Beams would instantly obliterate the Mad Titan. Bonus 1, Doom Patrol vs. the X-Men. Being a societal outcast is tough enough without your principal being a secretive guy in a fancy wheelchair. The Doom Patrol assembled in My Greatest Adventure number 80 in 1963. Brought together by a wheelchair-bound genius, Dr. Niles Caulder, the original team consisted of Robot Man, Elastigirl, and Negative Man. They are a collection of traumatized individuals whose horrific accidents granted them powers they view as curses. Meanwhile, they fight bizarre, surreal threats to protect a world that finds them repulsive. The X-Men debuted merely months later in the X-Men number 1 in 1963, after being gathered by the wheelchair-bound telepath Professor Charles Xavier. This original team consisted of Cyclops, Marvel Girl, Beast, Iceman, and Angel, who are mutants born of the X gene fighting to protect humanity that hates and fears them. The similarities are staggeringly prominent. Both teams debuted in the exact same year, feature rosters of societal outcasts, and are led by brilliant, secretive men confined to wheelchairs who operate out of massive private estates. The main difference is their thematic focus. The X-Men are a powerful civil rights allegory functioning as a legitimate school for gifted youngsters. But that's just child's play, because the Doom Patrol is a psychological exploration of trauma, body mutilation, and dadist absurdity. When comparing the two groups, the X-Men are overwhelmingly stronger. The X-Men boast multiple Omega-level mutants capable of manipulating reality, weather, and minds on a planetary scale, drastically outmatching the localized and highly unstable abilities of the Doom Patrol. Bonus 2, Green Lantern Corps vs. Nova Corps. Getting a magic ring from a tiny blue alien is definitely one way to solve your employment issues. The Green Lantern Corps was established in Showcase number 22 in 1959. Founded by the immortal Guardians of the Universe, this intergalactic police force divides the cosmos into 3,600 sectors. Officers are chosen for their ability to overcome great fear and wield power rings, which tap into the emotional spectrum of willpower to create solid-like constructs limited only by the user's imagination. The Nova Corps deployed in Fantastic Four number 205 in 1979 as the primary space militia for the planet Xandar. The Nova Corps draws their power from the Nova Force, a massive energy reservoir managed by the Xandarian Worldmind supercomputer, and officers receive helmets that grant them superhuman strength, supersonic flight, and potent gravimetric energy blasts. The similarities between the two organizations are substantial. Both are sprawling hierarchy-based intergalactic peacekeeping forces that heavily recruit brave human champions, notably Hal Jordan and Rich Rider, to serve as their premier universal defenders. Their primary difference lies in the flexibility of their armaments, because the Nova Corps uses a rigid, strictly defined power set distributed equally depending on rank. On the other side, the Green Lantern Corps utilizes weapons that are intensely personalized and fluid. Hence, the Green Lantern Corps is overwhelmingly stronger. The sheer versatility of a power ring, capable of manifesting complex machinery, splitting atoms, and weaponizing pure imagination, vastly overpowers the brute force and standard energy blasts utilized by the Nova Corps. Try to keep your thoughts positive, unless you want your weapon to accidentally manifest a giant pink toaster. That's it for this one. If you liked the video, hit that like button, subscribe for more, and ring the bell so you never miss a drop. Craving more stories from comics, movies, and beyond? Check out this video right here. Cheers, and see you in the next one.